Hey everyone, you're listening to the Simple Electronics Podcast. I'm your host, Dan, from the Simple Electronics YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by PCBWay, but more about them later because right now I've got a very special guest. Back for, I think, his third appearance, I've got BitLuni on. How's it going, BitLuni?
Hi. I'm fine, and it's the third time actually. As far as I remember.
Yeah, there
Hello,
we go.
everyone.
Yeah, so welcome. I think you're currently competing with another maker for the most amount of appearances, but I think he's got like 6 so far. So you've got some ground to make up.
Yeah, hard to crack that one.
So just because I don't know why, but there are probably some people who don't know you. Just a quick intro about who you are and what you do, and I'm going to promote your stuff after, no problem.
Okay, so I have to introduce myself. Okay, oh, that's a hard one. I'm basically a YouTube maker, I would say, and I like to experiment with electronics, sometimes in an unconventional way, or let's say with some catchy titles and screens on YouTube. That's how it goes right now, and I'm doing this full time for some years right now, and yeah, that's I think. Yeah, and I also do live streaming. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
have a second channel with live streaming, and I started also like double streaming on Twitch for a few months now.
Oh, yeah,
So
that brings a good point. If people want to
yeah,
check you out live, do you prefer that they go to the Twitch channel or the YouTube channel?
both have benefits. Like, so I would say whatever suits you the best, pick that, because usually YouTube is I don't know. You get notifications on YouTube if they appear. Sometimes they come like hours later. People complain about that. So you might not be notified like beforehand, or you might. There is a chance you get notified beforehand, before the stream starts. I usually do up to a few hours before I set up the scheduled stream, which is on Wednesday, 8 o'clock p.m. Central European time. So that's a safe bet that I will stream there, but I also stream on several different occasions whenever I have some spare time. And on Twitch, it's more like if you're into text to speech, I have set up like a double stream, and that's converted like to with Google, actually Google Translate, or you can send like a string, and it converts it to text to speech, and I'm using that. And sometimes like the YouTube API is broken, and it basically cuts off my YouTube chat. So your text, or like the messages in chat, and the TTS is basically broken for maybe an hour or something during the stream, and I currently have no solution about that. I could probably use some sort of plugin or whatever, but the YouTube API is really hard to work with. So Twitch is way easier to work with, and it's safer to use if you want like a constant dialogue with me on live stream. Then Twitch is a better bet, but I don't mind being on both at the same time.
Just to clarify too, because when you
Yeah.
go onto the Twitch stream, you don't hear the TTS. Like the TTS is not broadcast to Twitch. But if you go to BitLuni's Discord channel, there is a channel there that the TTS bot will be live on, correct?
Yeah, that's. I think the link is now displayed at all times in the live stream window. So it's basically link.bitluni.net/TTS or something. So, but it's displayed there, and there is like a separate voice channel for that on my Discord. So initially we had set this up so the TTS would be on at all the times. because I can't read and tinker around at the same time. So I couldn't concentrate on both. And I use that text to speech basically to listen to the chat all the time. We have quite a helpful bunch of people in the chat that always spot the errors that I make and whatever. And it's way easier for me to handle the chat. But then we had some people that didn't like all the talking. So I made it optional. You can just tune in the TTS. And afterwards, if you are watching the VOD, then basically there is no text-to-speech available. You have to read the on-screen text there.
Always the people pleaser, huh? Got to make sure everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's a middle ground. I would say it's probably strange anyways, because I might like to respond to something that's in the chat somewhere, like written, that is confusing. It's not like a monologue, it's a dialogue, but there is like a missing side, so you have to read along and see what message is he replying to if you look to watch the VOD. And some people actually are watching the VODs. I don't know, it seems like I have a few hundred views after the fact, so after the live stream. Some people probably like to either listen it to like when going to bed or while coding or whatever. So that's that.
That's actually an interesting phenomenon that I saw. Like my live streams are very personal, right? There's only maybe 2-3 people in chat, but afterwards my live streams continue to get views, and like decently so, considering the amount of subscribers on my live streaming channel. So I think there is a life for, live stream VODs on YouTube. I just don't think they're very findable. I don't think they're I don't think they're easy to search up on the main site.
That's true. You can't, if you don't know where to look for, you will not find them. Especially, I have even like troubles finding them myself. If I go like to YouTube Studio, which is like the front end for like the creators themselves, if you click on content and they are not showing up, you have like to click on another tab to see the live streams, which is so it's really strange. I would really love that YouTube wouldn't like hide it from people, because you as I we have a separate channel for that, to not like dilute the good content, or let's say like the different style of content that we do in videos with the live stuff. So I don't know, maybe there should be a better way to finding like VODs.
Oh, definitely. And on top of that, like I tried, like this month is a busy month for me. I have a lot of paperwork to do, like for taxes. And I look for live streams. And if you're not online, if Unexpected Maker Sion is not online, then I just go and search for live streams. But there's no way on YouTube to search for a live stream. Either there's no way, or there isn't any that interest me, because it's very hard to go and like find live channels. So I end up on Twitch, and Twitch there's not a really big sort of electronics makery community. I mean, there is a makery community, but they do like a lot of Lego and stuff like that, which I wasn't really interested while I was doing my paperwork. So yeah, I find that a little bit hard that YouTube is not embracing sort of that live stream culture quite as well as Twitch is.
Yeah, that's strange. I tried also to discover more like creators on Twitch, because you have like the categories there, and the categories are already not really refined for like you have a lot of under one category, and then you have like to distinguish, is this something for me? And I also checked for crafts, because there are also like we have what is this, technology and science and technology, and there is crafts and whatnot. And I also checked out crafts, but then you have you have the different style, maybe some woodworking there as well. So but I didn't find many very active streamers there as well. And I would like to have always an option to, like, after I'm done with my stream, to rate like another streamer, especially from our like our hobby.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one of the things about makers in general is that we don't. I mean, my wife streamed on Twitch for a little while, for a couple of years, and some of the
For a couple of years, okay.
yeah, for a couple of years, some of her colleagues on Twitch had, and I'm not naming any names, but some of them had this mentality that if my wife was getting viewers, then they weren't getting viewers, and so it was kind of like a competition. Whereas I find makers are more like, nah, man, like let's get more makers. Let's make more content. Let's do more stuff. The rising tide lifts all ships. It's a lot less competitive, I find, in the maker community compared to like some other live streaming communities. So I really love that attitude of, yeah, man, once my stream is done, like, you guys go check out this streamer. Like, let's all make it happen.
But it's also like unique to Twitch. So I not really proficient in Twitch yet. It's overwhelming with all the features that you have built in there that are really good for live streaming. I hope that was something like that on YouTube as well. And I'm also like, I don't know, if you rate like another channel, that it's a lot of meta talk. I don't know if it's that interesting to people that are not creators, but it's like when I do a raid, I don't know what happens for the viewers of my stream at the time. Do they like the chat switches to the other channel, but does the video as well, or what happens there? I have no clue.
Yeah,
I'm really clueless.
The video switches. It's as if when people accept the raid, or if they're AFK and don't do anything, basically the web page refreshes and you're suddenly on the other streamer's page. Yeah.
That's excellent. That's excellent, because I think last time I forgot to turn off each stream. So I was still like sitting and watching the other stream. That was probably not that interesting to watch.
That's actually hilarious.
Yeah, not so hilarious if you remember like that stuff that like happened in the past to other Twitch streamers that did different things after the stream.
Yeah, I have this mental image of you like turning away from your computer, and then the LED wall comes down and there's a mattress behind there, and then you you crawl into bed.
No, I just turn off like the backdrop on a green screen, and I don't own a lab at all. It's just a cubicle somewhere in China, a cubicle, and there's a lot of like streamers like me that do like that, don't actually do the stuff they claim.
That would be hilarious. Oh God, you should if you're ever making any short films, I'd be into that.
Oh yeah.
Look.
Oh right, yeah.
You were talking about you're not able to read while you do your live streams and tinker. However, I would argue that that's probably just because of the complexity of the stuff that you're doing while you're tinkering. I mean, if I drop into your live stream, I have no idea what's going on. So you've been doing some really interesting stuff. I just wish I had the brain power to understand it. Can you talk to us a little bit about your custom ASIC project and like what it is and why you participated?
Yes, let's talk about that. That was quite an interesting journey. So it started like already, it was like 1.5 years ago. So there is like, I would say there was like an initiative. I don't know like the specifics about that. So there is companies involved, which was basically the ASIC manufacturing is a very proprietary field. So there is a lot of IPs going on, like also from the foundries. So nobody has the whole knowledge, and it was basically not possible to. It's really hard to start like making your own chips, because you have always like to buy intellectual property, which is very expensive and stuff like that. And I think like the initiative, so Google was also on board of that. So they founded a lot of like the first trials of that to develop the first open source PDK for the 130 nanometer process. That means that the computer chips are made from basic like NAND gates and stuff like that. So you have like logical gates, and you build maybe a processor from that, or peripheral or something that works like you want it to work. And basically there was an intellectual property on each of the processors. So like 100 nanometers it's still a huge one. It's like dated, probably like 30 years ago or something. There were chips in that process. Now we are down to, I don't know, the lowest one. Do you know it? 2 nanometers,
yeah,
5, 2, something like that.
It's getting difficult now because the big manufacturers, Intel, Nvidia, AMD, they keep claiming like that their nanometers are down lower, but it's like it's 2 nanometer asterisk. Like some of the technology is 2 nanometer, the other stuff is 7 or 5, and so it's hard to tell now.
Yeah, so you can imagine if it's like that's like 100-fold smaller, and then you have like square law, so it's like 10K more like gates or components or whatever you can cramp into the same space. So in chip manufacturing, like since this is like a process that's chemical in some way, like making a chip also 10,000 times smaller, even though it does the same thing, you can not only fit way more chips onto one wafer, which is the silicon plate, you have a higher yield, because if there is like a speckle on or a fold of the wafer, it causes like a fault in a smaller area or a smaller count or whatever. So you have a better yield also with this manufacturing. But that's like on a side note. So what the problem was now, okay, we don't have the tools or the design of those gates, which are basically made like with MS Paint. So you just basically draw polygons onto the metal layers and oxide layers and so on. But those are like an intellectual property of some foundries or companies, Intel and so on. I have not all the details, so probably talking a lot of BS here. But what Google was paying for to develop an open PDK, which means like all the cells that you need to build a processor will be open source, and that can be used for those tool chains to make like chips that are open source with the processor architecture RISC-V, which is also open source, like all the components, also the tools like USIS are open source, and the whole chain from the physical implementation to the software implementation, all that needs to be open source. And that's actually what happened here. And so eFabless is the company that does like, it's like they offer this service to get like a cheap chip made, like for 10K you can make a cheap chip, get like 100 units or something, and you share the whole wafer, like, or a mask that's like where the chip is created on the wafer. The mask set is the most expensive part, and you basically share with other companies the mask, and you don't get a high amount of the chips, but you can develop your chip. And usually that would be like $1 million for a set of masks, but you can share them and go down to 10K for one chip. And that's what eFabless does. And then there is Matt Van, which is also like a maker, and he was interested in even splitting that further down. So you have like one chip, and they offer like Caravel, which is basically a RISC-V microcontroller. That was like in the initial steps, and that's just building the frame with all the stuff that you need to like get an interface to the outer world, like to the actual physical pins of the chip. And this Caravel frame, it has like a square in the middle. It isn't, a rectangle in the middle, like with free real estate to design your own chip. And Matt Van, basically, he offered a course, and he does that still. So they will give you simple tools like graphical tools where you can design something, logic gates on a website, and everything, like you can then commit this to GitHub, and this will be automatically with GitHub Actions converted to actual physical layers on the chip. And you get, if you participate, this is called Tiny Tapeout. If you participate in that, you get like a small tile in this real estate inside of one chip. And he basically fits a lot of those projects inside of one chip. So it's even more affordable than 10K. Nobody would like experiment with that if it's 10K. Now it's like below $200 to get then an actual physical PCB with that chip mounted on top of that, where you can test your project. And the clue about that is that you can, your project will be also open source. If you want something proprietary, you can do this with eFabless and pay 10K like a company. But if you do your own project with Tiny Tapeout, it will be open source, and you have to specify what is your interface, what is it doing, and then that will be compiled in the huge data sheet of hundreds of pages, and anyone can select with pins. So you have like 9 bits that you can select the project, and then this project is basically attached to input-output pins, and you can address the functionality of that specific project. So, long story short, I was really interested in that because that looks like it's heading towards what we got with the PCB manufacturers right now. So at some point when I started my channel, it was way easier to get the chemicals and etch PCBs at home than it was like to order PCBs at PCBWay, let's say. And now you can basically get for a few dollars, you can design your PCB in a free tool, which is KiCad, like open source, and then you can basically upload that to a website, and a few days later you get your finished PCBs, which are like really great, meticulous, let's say, and you can continue with your project, and it's easy and cheap, and it propels, let's say, the maker community. And having that for actual physical chips that do, like on a gate level, something really specific that you want and in a really fast way, is mind-blowing that we can have that. It's like, it's not far away. We have now all the tools set up. So Google doesn't support that project anymore, but the PDK, everything is done, and it's there for our use. And basically anyone could start making that, except like the masks and the foundries are still very expensive to use. However, it also takes a lot of time. So like I think it took 10 months from when the project phase was finished, like committing the designs to receiving the actual ICs. It took 10 months, but they're getting better at this. I think it's half a year right now, and at some point it might be like that you wait for a month or 2 months or 3 months. Even 3 months would be okayish. That's what we were waiting for if you order an assembly from a PCB manufacturer. Now we are at, let's say, a week. You can get PCBs assembled, like with all the components on top of that, because you can. There are ways to like keep stock or whatever of parts, and I think we are heading that way. And it's amazing that we got it within only a few years. And yeah, so I took part in that project, and I had only like 2-3 days left until the deadline. But I was at that time I was experimenting around with FPGAs, so I was proficient in Verilog, or at least it was like familiar to me. And so I designed. Basically, there were some limitations with how many memory you can fit in such a tile on this chip. And also the clock speed was very limited for the communication in-out. That's more open now. It was, I think I'm at like 15 kilohertz or something. And now you can get 50 megahertz or something. So the tiny tape out improved a lot since I took part on that. So I thought, okay, I will make a persistence of vision controller that will basically display text and graphics on like a rotating fan, because that is good enough. If you have like an output, like the flickering of the LEDs will be around like kilohertz range, that will be excellent. That will work. And I implemented 3 versions of that, committed it to tiny tape out. And then the last day, I thought, oh, I have still some hours left. And I thought, oh, I need a meme project. So I took like the Rickroll GIF, or like the Rickroll video converted to a GIF, and then shrinked it down and down. And basically what I made is I wanted just to store the GIF file inside of the ASIC as a ROM. There is only like one signal going in, which is a clock, like low, high, and on each like transition from low to high, it will put on the output a new byte of the data of the GIF, and then it will just start over again. So that's like the simplest design you can imagine. It's just a ROM, basically. Then you have like what happens if you want like to convert this data to a design. It is laid out in a physical way, and that's hard like to there is like no deterministic way of finding the optimal design. So you have like this open lane planner and so on, and the GitHub Actions takes longer and longer the denser your utilization of your real estate is on the chip. And what we get then is, if I try like to fit a big file of like, let's say 5 frames of Rickroll dancing around in highest resolution and let's say true color, it would instantly fail because it can't fit all those bits into that space. And then I just shrank down the image to 32 times 32 to 3 colors only, because 2 colors looked already really shitty. It looks shitty in 3 colors as well, but less shitty than 2 colors. And then I removed frames and tried to optimize. There are many ways of optimizing animated GIFs, like having transparent background, and then you have like a subframe, which is smaller than the whole frame. And I tried to shrink it down, and then I went like, it was basically suffering quality, me trying to fit everything in the space available. And at the end, it was like, I think 450 bytes or something that I was able like to fit in the tile of the project. And it took 40 minutes or something to basically to process on GitHub Actions, but it went through. And what I didn't know that it will be such an iconic project that's very controversial at the end. So
Controversial. So
yeah, it's controversial. It's because I made a video basically talking about this great achievement which was made here in the open source community, let's say, and like electronics, or it's a very specific group of people that are like working on that level, like with designing ASICs. That's like the elite. I at least I think they're basically the electro engineering elite, because I wasn't doing that. I'm not an electrical engineer or anything, but it's like very specific and very like it's very fuzzy. It starts to get fuzzy and it's very complicated. And then I come along with a very catchy title and cover for a video, the best chip in the world or something. And then it's just a stupid rickroll.
just a quick interruption to talk about this episode's sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay has been a long-term sponsor of the channel, and I think they're a good match for my channel because they provide quality PCBs for a reasonable price. You can get boards manufactured up to 100 mils by 100 mils for just $5, including shipping to Canada, $15 US, including shipping to USA, $12 US, which is incredibly cheap for professionally manufactured PCBs. I can personally attest to the quality of these PCBs, and so if you want a circuit immortalized forever, check out PCBWay.com with the link in the description. Now back to the conversation. Yeah, but okay. You know what? I'll address these ASIC designers directly, so you don't have to. What I will say is that as someone who does, I do have lots and lots of knowledge on a subject, like fixing cars, for example. It's been my career for a long time. Anything that democratizes the process to the point that other people can come and do what I do, so like access to information, tools, open source stuff, whatever, is a positive. If I was an ASIC designer and all of a sudden it was easy enough to have someone like you, who's actually, I would say, quite intelligent, so you don't have to answer to that, but that's my opinion, to be able to put a rickroll on an ASIC, I would say that's a net positive for the world. And if anyone is too crotchety to see that, then that's their problem, not your problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not salty about it. I'm quite confident that what I do is net positive.
For sure.
Because in one way I see me, I don't mind. I would also, like, if someone butchers my profession, I would also be like grumpy maybe, but in a different way, if it like introduces progress into the science or the community and everything around that, I will accept it. I mean, we can all accept our humanity. Like, I'm only a human and I have feelings about that, and I might have strong feelings if someone challenges my profession or intelligence or whatever. I totally get that. But what I'm doing is I'm not trying like to be the best at this profession or claim that I did the best thing. This is like the claim it's the best chip. It was not about like my specific design, because there are way more sophisticated and better designs on that single chip. That was why I called it like it's the best chip, especially for me. Holding it in my hand, it is like a funny like toolbox, and I can explore for forever with all these projects that people made there, I see me just as an ambassador for this open source thing that is now achievable for everyone that's not from this like electrical engineer, super expert. So I see me like, okay, here, everyone can do this. Even people like me can do, even if it's like a meme or whatever, it's affordable. And the more people join, the better, because then it starts to get more affordable. And if there is a volume, everything in volume gets cheaper and faster. We see that with PCBs. So it's controversial in that way, because people say, oh, of all projects, that one gets like the attention on all the blogs and all the news headlines or whatever, because I saw it was like surprisingly many blogs or whatever caught up on exactly that video, and it was actually the only meme project on there. So yeah, that's why I can understand when someone gets salty. They designed an FPGA or a RISC-V serial processor, which is also on the same chip, and then you have the most simple design ever that gets all the attention. But what I see there is the benefit at the end, that the chip gets attention at all, or this process or this possibility or the community gets the attention at all, and then more people get interested in that. And that's basically my job.
100%. And the thing is that if, like, there is no better way to explain that this is now affordable than to quote unquote, waste a parcel of this chip. Like the fact that there's a Rickroll GIF on a section of this chip is just drives home the point beautifully that this is now an affordable process, because there's tons of people that work in the industry of creating ASICs, and they cannot create ASICs for themselves at home. They cannot afford to purchase their own product, and this changes that. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's the same thing with me as a mechanic. When I worked at the dealership, there was no chance that I could afford to hire myself to fix my car, like that kind of deal. But at the very least, what was very expensive in my case is labor. And so I can just do my own labor, and that's fine. But when you're working in, chip design, there's not a chance that anybody working at Intel can afford to spin a chip on Intel's fab. It's going to cost them like $5 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And there is also, like, in such big companies, probably there is also difficult to sneak in something on the chip. I mean, we have like the chip art. So people put like on the metal layers, like some chip art, hide there, but rarely functional stuff that you can access from outside.
For sure. And I was just going to that too. So thanks for bringing it up, that these designers of this architecture and like chip level designers, they are so hungry to make put a little bit of their personality on their chips, that they'll make like you'll have a Space Invader alien, or you'll have like a bear or something on the die, on empty space on the die, and the only way to see it is to strip the resin off with acid and look at the bare die under a microscope, and then you see it. So I mean, even those people in that industry, they have an appeal to art, right? And once the artists can get into something, that means that thing is almost available to anyone, basically.
Yeah.
So I don't agree with them. And if anyone of them are listening to the podcast, you can just comment down below and tell me how I'm wrong. And if you agree with me, you can comment as well. But do not attack anybody. Do not attack the
No, I
ASIC
don't feel
designers
attacked.
or
No,
BitLuni or anybody.
no, no,
Don't
no,
people get it
no.
twisted a little bit? We're not on a crusade here.
No. I don't feel attacked or anything. I just see that people might be grumpy. Like I think there's few comments or something. I don't read all my comments because it's not. Sometimes it's not healthy for your mental health. So, but I think there were some grumpy people there. But I don't feel attacked.
There are gatekeepers
I grew a
everywhere.
skin. Yeah, I grew a thick skin.
I'll tell you, when I was younger, but still an adult, and I was playing with remote control trucks, like these things you can take massive jumps on and whatever. They would be really expensive. They're like nearly $1,000. You would go into the hobby stores around here to buy parts to fix your RC trucks and stuff that were, they were worth $1,000. It's expensive. But the guys at the counter would always like scoff at you because you're only running $1,000 RC truck. You're not running the $10,000 hand-built RC airplane that this guy put together, over the course of the last 3 years, and every time he flies it, there's a risk of a total loss if it crashes, right? So the staff there would gatekeep the hobby of remote control vehicles just because you were using the $1,000 RC truck that, well, if you lose communication, it just rolls to a stop. Whereas this guy's $10,000 plane, if it loses communication, it'll nosedive and like shatter into 1,000 pieces of balsa. You know what I mean? They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Pay no mind.
Yeah, but I'm also an elitist. I also argue with people that prefer spaces over tabs. So here we go. I'm also a gatekeeper.
Well,
regarding
it's just wrong. It's just wrong. I mean, it's tabs all the way.
Oh no, we are polarizing your audience.
No, it's fine. You know what? Whatever gets the job done. I will say though, it's a bit more of a pain in the ass to read the spaces. But anyways, how do you go to the end of the line? Enter and then space. That doesn't work. How do you do that?
No. What's happening here is that basically you use the tab button, which is the tab button for writing a tab, not several spaces, and basically the software replaces your tab internally with like 4 or 2 spaces and puts them in your text. So it's already that already is like an argument. If you want to use spaces, then you have to tap 4 times on your space bar. I can agree on that. Use spaces if you like, but then you have to use the space bar, not my tab button. Software that.
I love this. This is great. But yeah, I am no means a software gatekeeper because without other software writers, I would have no software because I mostly copy paste stuff from examples and whatever.
We have like in my community we had I was configuring, so we have like on Tuesdays in my Discord we have some hangouts where we are like talking about stuff and whatever, updating each other, and sometimes I think that was also on live stream. So I started like to set up Home Assistant for my home that I got donated by Johnny Bacta. You know him. It's one of your regulars. Yeah. And he sent me over a Home Assistant Yellow that he had a spare one. And I was setting this up. And at some point I had to configure, the config files are in YAML. And YAML uses tab, like you have like indentation to separate like sub whatever configuration parts, but it uses spaces, and I thought, oh damn, spaces again. And then I replaced like this configuration file, I replaced the spaces with tabs, and then the YAML file wasn't accepted. And then I was confused. Okay, I thought it would be like with Python, which you have like to decide. You can use tabs or spaces, not mixing those. But YAML is specified around spaces. You can't use tabs. And I was so angry.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I was so angry about that fact. And YAML is used everywhere right now. So that I'm really like, it's forced on me. And yeah, and Johnny is really enjoying it when I'm really salty about stuff like that. So I'm a tab gatekeeper.
That's awesome. So actually, we're kind of friends now. So
Yeah.
what's going on in your regular life? Did you did you make the move finally? You did, right?
Oh yeah. We are living here like since August, and so I have started renovate. Oh, I'm very like jumpy. If you watch like my videos, I always start projects and never finish them. It seems to be similar with the house renovation as well. So I start a lot of things, but then I have like I interrupt or whatever. So I mean, it's a long story. We didn't talk on your podcast about that yet, because I think last time I was still living in the old house. But we have like a really damp basement, and then I decided I need to, because it's like on a hillside. The house is on a hillside, and there is no proper drainage installed. It's a quite old house that's now from 56. So yeah, 60 years old.
Oh,
And
1956. Because in Germany, it could have
yeah,
easily been like, the year
no,
56.
it's from, actually I wouldn't any older than that. That would be like a wooden framed house or whatever, and I didn't want to have that because like at least the structural parts, except like for the upper floors, like our upper floors are also wood framed, and but like the whole outer wall structure, I didn't want any wood involved in that, because basically what happens is that there's probably some rot hiding and you can't see, and then you have like, even the inspector can miss things there, and I don't want like the structure to be compromised, especially in an older house. And we wouldn't be able to afford like a newer house because we didn't take any loan for that. I just got a little bit of money lent from my family, and that was also a reason why my renovations got stuck a little bit, because I'm basically running out of money right now for the renovations, and I need to pay back my family at some point. So I pushed out a few projects, but it's also motivating me to like pick up all the projects that I started at some point and push out more videos about those.
Well, that's going to be pretty
So
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, and then, but I'm really looking forward now that the weather is getting better in Germany. We had like few cold days in between now, but it's getting better now, so I can do more work outside. I did a lot on the garden, so we have like 750 square meters. It's not that huge, but I had basically a jungle here. Like there was no one living here for 2 years, and there are some trees that were really overgrown, and we have some apple trees and plums and stuff like that. And I had to take care of that. And in Germany, we have the law that you can't do major wood cutting or like tree cutting after February, because then, like, to protect the birds and the nests, the birds are nesting everywhere, and then you don't want to disturb them. So it's like forbidden to cut trees from March until I think September included. So
That's a huge
basically,
range.
Yeah, that's basically so many tree works are done like during the winter or in the fall. And yeah, that was my only opportunity now in February to basically get the jungle under control. And I spent a few days, like I really a lot of days with my chainsaw climbing up the trees and basically cutting them shorter because they were like way too high to get them to like to control them still. And at some point you can't handle them anymore. And also the apple trees, they need like to be like controlled to have like bigger and better fruits. So a friend helped me with that as well. So I did a lot of work in the garden. And now in the past few weeks, I planted some berry bushes and rhubarb because apparently I love rhubarb cake, and I baked already 3 rhubarb cakes this year. So I planted also rhubarb and stuff like that. I really like the gardening.
We have
And
rhubarb growing wild everywhere here in Ottawa, Canada.
really?
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah, lucky guy, lucky guy. So you don't need to plant it in your garden. You can just go anywhere and then grab some.
Yeah, but it's also growing in my garden just wild. It just grows here.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, so my spouse, Tony, she has like the front garden and like one of the terrace. We have like 3 terraces, let's say, because it's on the side of a hill. And she is more into like planting flowers and stuff, and she does a great job with that.
Are we going to
Yeah, but
see
with
BitLuni's farm as a series?
oh yeah, homesteading. I must admit I'm filming everything, especially like the renovations. I'm filming that always like having an action cam in time lapse mode, sitting somewhere and filming the renovations, which are not very spectacular because I can't do like major renovations. We are still living in this house, except like for the drainage system where I dug a trench, which is basically I started with one side of the house to set up the drainage from the hill towards the street, and so the water can flow down, and then I will extend this at the face that the side of the house which is facing the hill, which is like the most damp, of course, because that's completely beneath the level of the soil level. And what I had, like I had to dig, like my father helped me even with that. He's 69 right now.
Nice.
Yeah. So
The nicest
he was
age.
still, yeah. Nice, yeah. I just got it. Oh, I'm late. And so it was like even deep, like deeper than 2 meters at the end, at the hillside. And then I put in the drainage system and then started. I had like to fix the foundation because like the water was like basically damaging the foundation already there. And so I did some work there, but then we had like a surprisingly early winter here. So I wasn't able really to finish everything because the materials like cement and the bitumen basically stops working at 5 degrees C. Below 5 degrees C, it wouldn't like harden or whatever. It doesn't cure anymore. So I couldn't work with freezing temperatures. And we had already in October, or end of September and October, we had already like below 5 degrees C, and even in the night it was even freezing. So I wasn't able to continue my work, and I had like exposed part of the foundation of the house, which when I started I didn't know it might be dangerous for the house as well. If you get like a lot of water in there, it can be like underflown, and then your whole wall collapses. So at some point, I was like, TikTok is quite good at showing you the information you want to see, and it showed me like collapsing walls of people who put their like expose their foundation to put a drainage there, explicitly what I was doing at this time. And I was like really horrified at this time, and I wasn't able like to finish my work. So I fixed like the foundation, like whenever there was like a few days where it wasn't freezing and it was like barely 5 degrees here and above, I fixed like cemented fixed the foundation, and during the night I just put in like old blankets from moving, and like bags of styrofoam just in the trench, so it would be protected from the freezing temperatures during the night. And then I had to put 2 layers of 2-component bitumen on the wall as well to have it fixed, because that was basically, there was no protection against moisture whatsoever back then when they built the house. And then glued on even like insulation on that. And that 2-component stuff, that was like really interesting. At one day it was like still quite cold, and it was barely like above 5 degrees C, and say, oh, that's my chance to put like the first layer of this stuff on the wall. And I did that, and they had like in the instructions, okay, this is the 2-component stuff. As soon as you mix it, you have like 90 minutes to put it to use, and then it will harden. And I did that, and it actually worked out. It was like quite thick at the end, but if you start doing this for the first time, you're not that fast. So it was like quite thick at the end, but I managed like to put like this whole, I don't know, huge bucket on the wall. And then the next time we had like a few days which were warmer than 5 degrees C. And I kept the bucket also inside of the house, not in the shed anymore, because I didn't want it to be like in freezing temperatures. And then I mixed it up, and I wanted to put the second layer on. And after an hour, this stuff was hardening already. It was like really, really difficult, like to put it on the wall, but I managed at the end. And I put the insulation on, and basically what I did, I built like from like extra wood that I had, and some plastic, just a roofing on the side of the house, so it wouldn't rain inside of the trench. So, and I put in like the whole drainage and everything above the level of the foundation, so the foundation would be protected from freezing temperatures, which is also important. But it's not like completely refilled up to the like 2 meters where I dug them up. So I put like, it has the roofing, so I was able to work during rainy weather, and also it was protected from like excess water that would flow in there. But it collapsed. Since then, it collapsed a few times, like the side wall collapsed because it was quite moist. But it's still, everything is still fine, and I will continue with that work now that it's getting warmer, and I hope to have more time to do that. But it's quite exciting times.
You know how you do like 6, 8, 10-hour live streams sometimes, or whatever, long ass live streams. You should maybe live stream working on the house, so then you can have company while you work on the house. You know what I'm saying? That's why I live stream, so I can make YouTube videos while I live stream.
Yeah, I thought about that. So currently I'm renovating like the sleeping room, so I'm redoing the walls, and then we had like some layers of like carpet or whatever on there, but we have like a nice wooden floor, and I'm now like getting this old paint off the floor, and trying to strip down and sand the floor. So it might be too loud at some point. So I'm using like power tools, and I don't know, maybe it would be a passive stream then. So I can still hear the people, but there is not much talking going on, just watching me work. But what I discovered gets me like going for hours and hours during the renovation is listening to audiobooks. And I listened to a few sci-fi books that were really exciting, and that helped me a lot to come through the work. But live streaming would be also funny, I guess, so people can tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Well, you can't mention audiobooks you've listened to without giving a couple recommendations for the folks at home.
Oh, okay. So we have the three-body problem. First of all, I listened to both of the books.
Please, no spoilers, because I'm going to watch the TV series coming up. So,
the TV? Oh, isn't it released already?
Yeah.
Like the
yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
yeah.
you-
So
you
no
have to
no
watch
spoilers,
that.
please, because I'm going to watch it. That's what I'm saying.
No spoilers. I tell you that the books are quite extensive. Sometimes the author is rambling, and let's say the series does a great job and in summarizing and putting it to a point like there. So I don't know, might be already like people might not agree. Like it was the same with Game of Thrones. I was listening to the audiobooks before the TV series was filmed even. And I liked the books more because they were more detailed. But in that case, I like the series more.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. What was the other one? The author that wrote The Martian, he had another book.
Artemis or something? I don't remember. Let's see.
Let me check that. The author.
The Google search is The Martian author new book. It's so Andy Weir.
Andy Weir, and he did the book
Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, Project Hail Mary. And I listened to that one because I wanted I hate it when you have cliffhangers, and especially like with this epic setups. He does Weir does a great job in giving you a complete story. With Martian, it was already great. The audiobook is also really recommended. There are a few parts that are not in the movie. The movie is great, but some parts, like to have it contained in such a short time, are left out, which might be also interesting. But Project Hail Mary was really good. I really loved that audiobook, and I listened to the whole 20 hours or something, and I think 2 or 3 days. So it was a lot of renovation work that I did during that time. Enjoying that book, and at some point you can even I had instantly at some point you can the books might resonate because I had the impression, oh, he must have a technical background. I think he might be even a coder, and that's actually his background.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that might why this type of sci-fi resonates with me specifically. But I can only recommend. I mean, everyone who knows The Martian should, Project Hail Mary, and it will be filmed, I think, in a few years now. It's already planned. Yeah.
Famously, when he was writing The Martian, in order to get accurate on sort of like the transmission times and the distances from Earth to Mars and phasing, as he coded himself a simulation of the solar system so that he can move the simulation forward the amount of days he was going forward in the book, so he can accurately say, okay, well, at this time they can't leave at this time because the phase is wrong and all that. And in one of the scenes in The Martian, by the way, if you haven't seen the movie, those of you at home, you need to watch it. It's a fantastic movie. But in one of the scenes at NASA, no spoilers at all, but there's a scene that happens at NASA. On one of the computer monitors is his original simulation. They put that in as an Easter egg, so that was pretty neat.
Oh wow, you provide us with some cool background about that one. So you're interested in that author as well?
Absolutely, I'm a turbo nerd. I don't read books. I would joke here that I don't know how to read, but because I just don't have the time. But the movie is like one of the top 5 best.
Yeah,
It's probably the best sci-fi movie ever.
it's the same for me. I can't concentrate like we joke about that I mean that I'm dyslexic, but like you probably joke about that as well. But I can't keep my concentration. Maybe it's like some sort of disorder, but I can't keep my concentration on books. When I was young, I read some books, like fantasy books and so on, but not that many. And I enjoy like audiobooks way more because I can do other stuff while I'm not writing, like coding wouldn't work because that's text and text, but like renovations and audiobooks works really well, or driving car.
Yeah, for me, it's podcasts and typically podcasts that have nothing to do with anything in particular. I just like to to hear a story. Basically, someone just tell me what's new in the world of something that's unimportant, like whoever YouTuber screwed up this week or whatever. That's my brain off
Interesting
stuff. Yeah, I watched the H3 podcast, which is my
okay.
That's my opium, basically opium of the masses, But that's the H3 podcast is my opium because it's just like whatever's going on in pop culture news, they pretty much cover it. Plus, they're a comedy podcast, so they do comedy skits and stuff like that. So it's very lighthearted and whatever. And they also they kind of attack the red pill manosphere type people, which I don't like those people anyways. So everything works out for me. I just love that brain off. Yeah, the H3 podcast I'd recommend it to anybody who's technical and needs a break from technical stuff. That's what it is.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know them just from the clips that I get shown on TikTok or something, where he points out bullshit
for sure
or something.
Well, we need to move on though because
sure,
because there is a topic
about cars.
You wanted to talk about. So just you've been talking a lot. I'll let you rest a little bit. So I'll just update the audience on the Volvo saga. So at the moment, I need a car. As I was talking about on the last podcast, I did go see that Volvo V50, and they were asking $2,500. When I got there, it was in pretty rough shape. Like just from the stuff I could see, like it's a weird thing when you go see a used car. I don't have access to a lift or anything like that, but I could see through the wheels. It needed all 4-corner brakes. I could see that the steering rack boot was torn open and it probably needed suspension work and all these kinds of things. And I took it for a drive, and I loved the way it drove, but everything else was kind of meh on it. Scratches everywhere, a little bit of rust coming through. So I made an offer, $1,500, and they accepted. So I bought myself.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, I bought myself Volvo V50. Now, it's not all puppy dogs and rainbows. I spent earlier this week putting 2 axles in, inner-outer tie rod end in the front, a wheel bearing. It probably needs another tie rod on the other side. It's hard to tell. There's just a little bit of play now. And essentially, and I had to put a windshield in it. So I essentially spent just over... I'm probably like $1,200 in parts so far. And then there's probably going to be another, $500-$600 to do. I've got a safety check scheduled on Thursday. So, whatever the interpretation of the mechanics is going to be, I'm going to have to fix that as well. I might have to do exhaust work. But overall, I should have a working car, under $3,500, which is like impossible to find these days. So that's that. And also this one has a manual transmission. So no more AW 5550 SN transmission garbage like my old Volvo. The only thing I will say, though, is that my old Volvo, which I still have, which I still need to fix, if I don't want to take a total financial loss on it, my old Volvo was special. You sit in that car, there's like little cubbies everywhere. Everything's very well thought out. This car is not. This car is basically, my old Volvo was built at a time where Ford had a controlling share of Volvo. And so there were some like sort of Ford-ish decisions made on my old one, but it still felt very much Volvo. The new one is essentially a Volvo engine and a Volvo transmission and Volvo safety features slapped onto a Mazda, which is basically a Ford. So this one feels a lot less special. The only thing that really gives me that Volvo vibe is the five-cylinder engine. So this thing just feels like driving a normal car, which I'm not too thrilled about. But I needed wheels, and this was the cheapest way to do it. This is pretty much the only way I could afford to do it without going into massive amounts of debt. So I do have a new car, and as long as it passes a safety check on Thursday, I'll be good to go. But if not, I have to extend my trip permit another 10 days and fix whatever the guy is not happy about. And then I'll have wheels again. So I'm pretty hyped about that.
From what year is the Volvo?
Oh, it's 2005. So it is 19 years. 19 years old, if I can math.
Oh, okay.
It is old as shit. But I mean,
nah.
The issue is, so there are tons of these cars, used cars available. The exact same, Volvo V50s. The cheapest one in my area is like $6,000. Like,
oh wow,
the used car market is absolutely nuts. I wanted a Honda, but there's no Honda under $5,000 that isn't basically a complete wreck. There was none. And so if I wanted to spend 20 grand, I could have got a decent Honda, because Honda's my roots. I love them. But like 20 grand, it still has rust perforation through the quarter panels and stuff like that. So the thing is, I didn't mind buying a crappy car and fixing it up, but the issue is the cars that are all around like the $5,000 to $10,000 mark, they would also need like $1,500 worth of repairs to get them up and going. So when you start at $1,500, it feels a lot more sane to put $1,500 in, because when you start at like, $6,000, you got to put another $1,500. Yeah, it's $7,500. And, it's just the prices are crazy inflated right now. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the issue. And if this car, gets totaled, or even if the mechanic says, yeah, this doesn't pass safety because you've got a pinhole in whatever that you didn't notice, or whatever, it's too rusty, at the very least, the transmission that's in that car, the new one, I can take out and convert my old Volvo to manual. I mean, that's going to be a lot of money as well, but it's not going to be a total loss, because you cannot find these manual transmissions anymore. First of all, they weren't available in the United States in a manual transmission, front wheel drive. And so you basically can't get parts. It's only Canada, and it's only the people who bought a manual transmission. So they're pretty rare. So I'm pretty happy with that. At the very least, if someone crashes into me tomorrow, I can pull the transmission out and convert my old one to manual.
I have a few questions. Okay. So first of all, is this like, can I imagine this Volvo to be like the European style, like,
let's see,
personal vehicles, or is it like more like the American style ones?
No, it would be the same in Europe. The European ones usually have nicer like looks on the outside, but this, if I were to drive in Texas, I would get spat on. Texans are a little weird. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is very European looking, but what the
Okay.
Texans don't understand is that, underneath it's the same suspension, the same mostly chassis as a Mazda 3, Mazda 5, Ford Focus, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I'm just asking because I can imagine, like, I mean, you're not like very rural area from Canada, but I can imagine that you need like a more rugged car in North America sometimes, maybe, especially
No,
in Canada in winters and so on.
no, no,
So
no.
four-wheel drive and stuff like that.
No, that's entirely made up by North Americans. No, I will tell you, I am because I'm in the industry. I see this
Yeah,
a lot. People say, "Oh, I need I need a 4-wheel drive because we have winters here." That's what
yeah.
I hear all the time. But I'll tell you, I irresponsibly go places in my front wheel drive, and before when I had a front wheel drive, and I never got stuck. I had a 92 Honda Civic, 2-door, like a 3-door hatchback, and I plowed through a foot and a half of snow to get where I was going, and I never got
Oh,
stuck.
wow.
I hate. I actually, it's like a trigger for me when people say, "Oh yeah, I need a 4-wheel drive because we have winters here." It's like, no, you live in the city. We have snow plows that pass 4 times a day. You do not need a 4-wheel drive. So yeah, that the whole thing is you see North Americans in pickup trucks, but I guarantee you, you go to like any shopping center here and you go look at the pickup trucks, and everyone just use them as commuter cars. It's like a weird culture thing.
Mm. You're probably overcompensating. I have experience with both types. So I had like do you know Subaru Libero? Like
So
that's like
I know
that's
Subarus, but I don't know.
yes, Subaru Libero was like a really like the very slim like van where you can transport 7 people or 8 people. How many seats did it have? Uh, these are the ones that where you think like from Japan they would tip over in the when
Oh,
you
a K
around
car.
going yeah, something like that. Yeah, and I had one, and it had because it was every Subaru has 4-wheel drive, and I made good experience with that. So actually, I was like driving on the highway, which had snow on, and I had no problems getting everywhere. And I quite often, like with my other cheap cars that I had in my past, they have all like front wheel drive, and then they always like slip or whatever. So maybe because I used old cars that didn't have like traction control or stuff like that. So I got used to that, like to control it myself, going off the brakes and so on. Uh, but yeah, with my small electric car that we are leasing right now, it has also it has back. No, does it have back?
Is it rear-wheel drive? What kind of electric car do you have?
It's the Mi Electric, Seat Mi Electric, which is the uh, VW Up Electric. That they are the same. I think it has front wheel drive.
I mean, it
Yeah,
wouldn't
and but
surprise me.
the problem with that one was I got stuck with that one. So I was like backing up on the road, and I had to go off road onto it was basically a lawn, and there was a stump that I didn't see.
Oh no.
And what happened is that my back wheel, like one of the wheels, were suspended in midair because I was like sitting on top of the stump, and it wasn't getting anywhere. It was wet, like the grass was wet and the street was wet, and I had like to call a truck so it would pull me out. It was like a matter of seconds with the wrench. How do you call it? Yeah, to get it like unstuck. But I was basically stuck, and I had to
Oh
to call
no.
for road assistance. And in that case, I was wondering if a four-wheeler would help. Even though
Probably
I'm not driving off-road or anything. So that was like
it probably
just on
wouldn't
some
have.
grass.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't
Yeah.
have helped you at all because
It was so strange. I couldn't get it unstuck. I tried everything. Like putting wood underneath or whatever, like branches underneath the wheels that were spinning, and nothing helped.
no, if you high side your car, no amount of wheel drive is going to help you. That
Oh, really?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because you make the car light.
Caterpillars.
Yeah, maybe, but you make the car really light, right? When you're coming up off the suspension, and
Yeah.
sadly, electric cars are quite heavy. So
That's true.
if you ran over on a stump or whatever,
Yeah.
yeah, the only thing that would have saved you is ground clearance. So if you would have drove
Yeah.
if you would have drove like
I think-
an F-150, like a big pickup truck, you wouldn't have even known it was there. You could run over a stump, pedestrians, a cafe's entire outside seating area, and you wouldn't even have noticed.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think it was like tipping sideways because one side was like up in the air, and then there was basically no weight on one of the front wheels, and it was just spinning because of the differential, and the one
Correct.
that was sitting on the ground was basically doing nothing.
Now,
So
ironically,
that was the issue.
if you would have had a sports car, like an electric or whatever, a sports car, it would have had a limited slip differential, which would have helped move torque onto the other side. But at the same time, once your car becomes so light that your wheel loses traction, limited slip does need a difference in traction from left to right. So you still need some friction. I mean, you're not going to escape physics, right? Sadly.
Yeah.
But yeah, was that the car trouble that you were talking about?
No,
okay,
no,
here
no,
we
no.
go. Here we go then.
Yeah, I have a different. I have an old Ford Focus from 2000.
Okay.
And I have it now since 16 years. No, wait, no, I got it. It was like my first car when I started working. That was already 20 years ago. So I have it for 20 years, and it has a mileage of I don't know how many miles, but I can tell you it's 190,000 kilometers that I made with that car.
Like
around about.
120,000 miles, something like that.
Yeah, so it works all right. It had like one time it had like a broken how do you call it?
With a Ford, it could be anything.
Yeah. A broken belt that is like driving the generator.
Okay,
And that
serpentine belt.
that happened at 190 kilometers per hour on the highway.
Which is
So
legal in Germany, by the way.
Yeah, totally normal. You are slow basically on if you're going like that. You probably there are Audis and BMWs behind you that are basically blinding you with the lights that you have to move to the right so they can take over, because you can only take over on the left side of.
And the Americans just stop, first of all, because it wouldn't work in North America, because already so many of you guys stay in the left-hand lane, in the passing lane, and just cruise 5 miles an hour over the limit. It wouldn't work. In Germany, it is super important that you stay to the right of the road to let the people pass. It wouldn't, guys, if you Americans think that you can do unlimited speeds like the Autobahn in the States, I'm telling you, it'll end up with gunfights, because whoever has the slower car will say, no, I have the right to be here. It's not going to work. Trust me, it's not going to work.
I have been to US a few times, and I was driving also like a rental there, and I must admit it's great that they have the speed limits, because everything is allowed on the road. You don't have that in Germany. There are like you have like to have your checks made every 2 years.
Yep.
And basically, like you mentioned, if there is like pinhole rust or whatever, it probably won't pass anymore. So everything has to be like checked. But I'm not like defending the German road culture because it's terrible. I mean, just like that, I was commuting like really fast with my car back then when it broke. I don't do this anymore. Now, since we got an electric car, we're not going faster than 110 kilometers per hour, which is probably like 66 miles, something like that.
Something like that. I think it's about 65 miles an hour because we do 100K here.
Yeah,
and it's like
that's basically
62.
would be the speed limit, and that's actually like comfortable to travel. I admit. And so what happened with my Ford is then the belt basically ripped and it wound itself on the axle of the drive. And broke the, how you call it?
So there's the axle
ring
shaft.
that keeps the oil inside of the engine.
Oh, so the front, it would be the front main seal if it's behind the crank pulley.
Yeah. Basically, the seal was broken, so I was losing oil. I just what happened is basically I saw that the control lamp for the generator turned on, and then I went like to the side of the road and I checked. I was seeing there was basically, I opened it, everything was black of oil.
Oh, no.
You can imagine like at 100, like it was 4,000 or 4,500 RPM. No, I think it was 4,000 at least RPM at this like speed, because the Ford isn't made for driving that fast, I would say, or it's like the upper speed limit. And then everything was basically full of oil. And I said, oh shit. I need to get to a mechanic or do whatever. I need to get off the road. So I went down the Autobahn and I was like going to the next mechanic, and I could already, I shouldn't admit that because that's forbidden, like that's pollution. I was already seeing the drips behind my car on the road. And then I approached like the first mechanic, which was like 2 kilometers only away or something. So it wasn't that far. And he just told me, oh no, I can't do anything. I am fully booked. I don't have time to do it, but I can give you some. He sold me like for $20 some oil, so I would refill because it was already like the low on that. And I was then leaving the car to a second mechanic, and I just parked it there. They put some cardboard beneath the car, and it took them. They checked it. They charged me, but they'd say, "Oh, yeah, it's so messy. It's so full of oil. We can't do anything because we can see where it's leaking."
What?
And we don't do motor cleaning. That's like ATU in Germany. Everyone knows that's like that's like a franchise for mechanical stuff. They do all things like brakes, tires, and combustion, whatever.
All the high
they
margin
wouldn't
stuff.
wash your. Yeah, they wouldn't. No, not really. It's quite affordable, but they wouldn't do like, they're not passionate or anything. I would say they do the stuff that they list, and they don't wash engines. So they wouldn't be able to wash the engine to fix it, to find the leak and fix it. So,
wow.
And then my car was sitting in the middle of nowhere, sitting there on the parking lot, and I wasn't able to drive it anymore. It was basically probably dry at this point. And I was looking for new cars that I can buy, like a used one. And the dealer, it was like really cool. Well, in the city, the dealer was showing me a few cars, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for something. My car broke down," and he was like a very passionate mechanic. So they had like a workshop, and he was so like intrigued by the failure that I had, that he just ran to his computer and checked basically with me what could be the problem with the engine. And there's like the schematic of the engine or whatever, the components, and oh yeah, that could be like the seal here or whatever. And I see, okay, can you tow it? It's like 50 kilometers away. It needs to be towed. Oh, we can do that. We have a tow truck, which is not like really typical for a mechanics shop here in Germany.
No, not here either.
Yeah, so what they did is basically I gave him the keys and told him, oh yeah, there's this ring for towing. It's in the back of the trunk, and then he got my car, fixed it within 4 days, and charged me only like $300 or something, $350, which is ridiculous. Usually I would expect like the towing for 50 kilometers to be like that expensive. So I gave them, of course, a great rating and sent every one of my friends there whenever they had like problems with their car. And I did basically everything with this shop. But since then I moved 2 times. So unfortunately, yeah, that was the only problem with my car. But now the brakes are basically starting to age quite well. So I had like my annual checkup, biannual, or how do you call it? Like every 2 years, my checkup. And basically, because we are driving the electric car, it was standing for too long, and like the brakes were really rusty. And then the mechanic said, okay, we need to exchange the brakes. And he did that, and it cost me like $600 or something.
Holy, I could have coached you how to do it by yourself.
Yeah, I did it once before, but I didn't want to do it this time because I don't have a workshop for that. You need like some keys and wrench and like whatever. I don't have the tools, and I did it with a friend once, like with parts. The parts from eBay were like $70 or something, like a complete set of brakes for the Force, because it's so old. It's quite easy to do. And yeah, it took us a while. It was a little bit of labor, so we spent a few hours, but we managed to do it once. But now I said, okay, there is no way I can do this without like a proper workshop and whatever, without lifting the car and stuff like that. You can do it, but yeah, say, okay, I'll spend the $600 because he does the check as well, and everything is fine and dandy. And then he already, I had experienced something before where the brakes were locking up. Like the one side of the rear wheel was like locking up and getting hot. So you might know that problem is a typical one when, I don't know, they get rusty or something. Yeah. How do you call the part?
The caliper, the brake caliper, or the flex line?
Brake caliper, yeah. Yeah, it was basically this cylinder that presses the brakes against that caliper. Yeah, might be the caliper, yeah. Okay, yeah. So the brake caliper would occasionally maybe lock up, and he already notified me about that, and I was too cheap. I said, "Oh, yeah, I don't have spare money because we are buying the house at that time. Can you make it work?" And he said, "Oh yeah, I can try." And then he called me and said, "Okay, yeah, it works again. It should be fine." And that was that. And then when we moved, it locked up again.
Yeah, no surprise.
So yeah, the problem is then they get hot and then wear down and whatever.
Yeah.
So
and then you got to replace parts again.
Yeah, I could make a barbecue on that wheel. So when I arrived, you can already smell it. You can even smell it during the ride. So people who experience that, you can smell like this burnt electronics smell. This is basically your brakes that are locked up and are melting right now. And then probably if you have like steel tires or like
rims,
it will heat up. Steel rims, they will glow hot red at some point. And that was what was happening there. And basically, that was half a year after I spent like the $600. And then, but it's all right. I just bumped them a few times with the hammer and I unlocked and it worked again. it was good enough because it's like the front brakes are more important than the back ones.
Yep.
So that's my explanation for that. And now it was standing around during the winter for a few months without being moved, the car. And what happened that the house that at the hillside, so I have like the brakes are really tight. And what was happening, they basically rusted shut. And when I started the car and we are trying to go somewhere, what happened is that basically, how you call the part that's the actual part that's breaking, like that
brake
wears
pad?
down, the brake pad.
Yep.
It was worn down probably because of the lockup already. It split it in half, most probably. That's actually one thing I had before with that car, and I knew the feeling when you're braking and it's starting to vibrate and you hear the sound from the back of the car. Okay, that's what's happening. So I know it's broken again, and it's like if that happens, you have like to exchange every single part of the brakes again because they have like to be symmetric and whatever. So not only that, I have to switch the caliper and the brakes again after a year. And so the mechanic told me already that's $650, and I'm not ready to pay for this car, which is like worth $1,000 in total because it's 24 years old. Another $650. And I was thinking, okay, maybe I can repair it myself, but it's really hard because then you have like I have to use the compressor with a tool to like switch the brake fluid or like
Oh no! I can
you
show you.
You can tell me.
Yeah. I can show you all those things. But here, just so the listeners can have an idea of what's going on here. So as you were talking, I just went on the German Amazon, and I found that the brake caliper will cost you €50 for one. I don't know if you need
a new one.
Yeah, a new one, €50.
Oh wow, okay. Used ones are for 20 or something. But the
used
used one will probably lock up in a year again.
Exactly. And then you need a set of discs in the back, which is anywhere between 30 and 60 euro. I don't speak German, so I don't know which one is the correct one. But that's for the pair. So 30 to 60 euro. And then Ford Focus rear pad. And the pads are 20 euro.
Yeah, that's what I said. You can get a complete set of brakes like discs and pads for $60 from eBay, or 60 to $80 if you like don't want the cheapest ones. And then the caliper is like $50. So the parts I would say with maybe brake fluid is like $150 in total, and then some labor and tools.
Yeah,
that's all that's needed. Yeah.
So we can do a GoFundMe to see.
No, don't do it.
Listen. Hear me out.
No.
We can
please not. I don't want pity
Hang on.
money.
I'm not done my thought. We can do a GoFundMe to fly me out to Germany.
Oh yes, that's.
And then I'll install the parts for you. No problem.
Oh, totally.
I wouldn't be able to take payment for that though, because I think that would be illegal to go to another country and work. But if I
can take a donation.
if I just did a for free, I think that'd be lots of fun. There we go. So we need 2 tickets because my wife gets jealous. So if I'm going to Germany, she has to come to Germany.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But
you're invited. Yeah, but I think I need to fix it this month, so it won't happen because I want to go with my father hiking, and we plan to use that car to go there. So I'm not sure, but it is a nice idea. So if I don't manage to repair it or pay for a overpriced repair, I would totally welcome you to fix it with me on the live stream.
There we go. Yeah, we could do it on live stream for sure. And honestly, if you do need any guidance, like replacing these parts are pretty trivial. Can be done with hand tools. Don't need any air compressor. I can teach you how to.
I have a compressor. I think I thought you need like to de-air like the brake lines.
Yeah, all you need is a strong leg. I usually use my wife if I'm alone. So strong leg and a piece of hose. That's all you need.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you use the braking system as its own pump, and then what you do
Yeah.
is you have your wife pump the pedal a couple times, then hold it down as far as she can, and then you crack open the little bleeder, and then with the hose on it, and the hose has to point upwards. So usually I make a loop upwards, and so the fluid
Yeah.
in the air comes out, and then she'll be pushing the pedal all the way to the ground, and then you close the bleeder, and then
Yeah.
she'll pull her foot back, then pump it up, and you do that a couple times, and eventually it'll be just liquid that comes out, no air. That means there's no more air left in the system, and you're good to go.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you can do it solo too. It's just less visual. So if you're not sure about what you're doing, you'd really want to be back there and take a look.
Yeah. Yeah. No, what I would be doing is probably because like making like doing the checkup on the brakes or whatever is probably only like $50 or whatever. So I would exchange it if I do it like on my own. I would grab the tools, whatever I need. Sometimes it's if stuff is like this old, it's everything is rusty, and then you need like good tools to get everything going. So I would like try setting everything up, doing it, and then just going to the next mechanic and do a checkup, because that's too dangerous, especially if I'm not driving solo in that car. Having an aired brake system
Well, you could tell. I mean,
might be much.
it's not something that you'll be everything will be fine, and then all of a sudden it won't be fine. Like you go once you're done the job, you go for a test drive in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
and you'll be able to tell immediately if it's not right.
What happens if the hose falls off the caliper while driving? When I need to brake really hard, and then
So
or is the pressure always heavy?
the
Like,
pressure is
what-
always heavy because the brakes are boosted, so
Yeah.
your engine is always providing assistance to
Yeah.
the brakes. So the pressure is always high. But if you happen to not have tightened the brake hose enough, first of all, it'll leak immediately because the pressure is so high. But let's say it rattles itself
Ah.
loose, like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Even shitty Fords, they have the brake system set up in an X. So your left front wheel and your right rear wheel are on one circuit, and your right front wheel and your left rear wheel are on another circuit. So if one of the circuits were to just explode, let's say that the line rusted out and just exploded,
Wow.
you still have your front brake on one side and your rear brake on the opposite side, which will mean you will be able to brake stably. Now your brake pedal will feel weird, and you'll probably
Yeah.
have to go all the way to the firewall. But once your pedal goes in far enough, it blocks one of the two passages, and you'll be able
Yeah.
to stop. It's made like that. And in fact, is your car manual or automatic?
Manual.
Okay, so people who have automatic cars, like people who have manual cars, you can downshift to slow down. But people
Yeah.
who have automatic cars, the automatic brake pedal is double the width, and that's just
Yeah.
in case you don't have
Oh,
engine
both.
assist.
Yeah.
You can put both feet on it to really mat it. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's great insights. Like I didn't know that the brake is split. That's like calming me down and giving me confidence to mess around.
yeah, absolutely. Ever since the 1970s, at least here in
Okay,
North
so-
America, the law has been to have two separate circuits.
Interesting. That's cool. Oh
Yes,
man.
sir. Tune into
Nice
Dan.
that we talked about this.
Yeah, tune into Dan Fixes Cars for more info as soon as I get up to it.
Nice. Great.
So we're at the end of the podcast, and I actually have to go to work pretty soon. Is there anything you want to let the listeners know, the ones who've stayed, an hour and 40 minutes through the podcast? Anything you want to tell them?
Yeah, check out the live streams if you want to learn more about my projects, and yeah, click like to all the stuff and subscribe to all the stuff from Dan. This is so interesting. Like even if you don't like build cars, I find it so interesting. It's all tech stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, that's all I think.
Well, sounds good. And I am serious. If you do need car advice, I'm always, you know how to reach me. So
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
I
not for all the
appreciate it.
listeners. That's only for the podcast guests. So if you want free car
Free.
advice, you have to come on the podcast.
Maybe you can give car advice if there is like an influx of donations. They might not be related or might be related, but yeah, maybe you can give some assistance if the donations are right.
Let's put it this way: free car advice to anybody who is a BitLuni Patreon supporter.
Uh, or Simple Electronics Premium Deluxe Car Assistance Supporter.
Yeah. I mean, if there is a market for it, I would gladly do like live streams on a separate channel to give people live car advice, basically. I'd be so down for that.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I hope a new opportunity opens up for you here.
Sounds good. But for you folks listening at home, there is an opportunity to, hit like and subscribe. Go visit BitLuni's various pages. I do really like the live streams, even though they are way over my head. But it'd be nice if you go in there and just say hello from time to time. And, if you want to be on BitLuni's side, you can always just troll the chat because the chat is always trolling him. So it's nice to have a little bit of balance. And for the rest of you, I hope to catch you on the next podcast. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye.